So hello guys. As you see in the agenda, here I have given you the topics that are going to be included in the exam. Here, if we count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 lessons. I don't want to make it like too many big worksheets since you don't have too much time to revise it, and also this is just an SRT, and we have barely just 4 days or 5 days for the exam. Also, if you check these, they are just basics, and these are not, for example, fractions. These are not long divisions. Even if it was, there's not much more than worksheets to do. Even though I encourage students to do so, but these ones, do not rush yourself, because the basics is the basics. It will never change. If you take any other exercise, it will be the same. It will be the same, just a waste of time. So I prefer that you concentrate on the exercises that I have given you instead of focusing in another exercises, and it will confuse you. If I give now word examples and word problems, your mind's going to divide and you will be confused. I prefer if you focus on what we did in the class, and then it will be beneficial for you. Okay, let's see. We begin with rounding. Where can we find rounding? Here. If we begin with rounding, just come back to this table. Now, I'm going to make this table a little bit. First of all, I just want to explain what we did in general. Till now, I don't know why some of the students, not all of the students, some of the students, they still didn't get it. Rounding is just an estimation. It's not an exact number. It's completely the opposite. We are going to say, oh, this number is between and in between. For example, we don't say 19. We say it's 20. Approximately is 20. Why? Because we don't want to be too much precise. We want to give just an estimation of what's going on. An estimation of any number given. How many is the population? We can't say 1 million, 2,000. How do you know? It's precisely counting person by person in the population. How can you know exactly the number of the population? Impossible. In statistics, we round numbers. We give an estimations. We say in between 2 million and half, or maybe 3 millions, but we can't say 2 million 2,789,322. How did you know it's 22 even? How could you know? It's impossible to count person by person. So we're going to give an estimation. We say, okay, it's around 3 million because it's 700,000. So we say it's almost 3 million. The same thing for these numbers. We don't want to give the exact amount of the numbers, so just estimate in your mind and then you can calculate. So if we take any number, for example, here, same thing as we did before. Take this one. Look, let's take 450,725. Now, if you do an estimation, it's a little bit thick, so this way. If you want to estimate this one, now check the question. The question is saying 100,000. I need to find the place value. What does it mean? It means if you can round, you already know the previous lesson, which is rounding, which is the place value. You know the place value of each number. So, as we said before, the place value of each one of them. So, of course, this is ones, and then the next one is the tens. The next one is hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000. Now, if you know all of these, you'll find no problem, because in the first place you need to know what is the place value. After you know what is the place value, it will be easy for you now to estimate. If I'm going to say round to the nearest 100,000, so okay, I'm going to focus only to the 100,000. I'm going to go directly to the 100,000, and I'm going to put a circle on it or a square on it or whatever you want to do. And then I'm not going to now consider this one. Okay, this is the number that's going to change. It's either going to stay 4 or I'm going to add +1, because it's in between. This number is obvious in between 400,000 and the next number, which is 500,000. It's in between. Now we're going to decide, is it closer to the 400,000 or closer to the 500,000? So this number, based on this number, it's in between. I'm going to trace the number line. It's in between the 400,000 and the 500,000. And directly you can know from here. So the number after the 400, oh, it's 50,000. Now I'm gonna find in between this. Okay, the 50,000. Oh, it's in the middle. And what did we say? If the number before that number is equal to 5 or more, add +1 to the main number that you're talking about. Here we're talking about the 400,000, which is 4. So I'm going to add +1 to the 4 and replace all the rest with zeros. So it's closer to the 500,000. That's why we add +1, because it's in between 400,000 and 500,000. So, oh, it's closer to this. It's not closer to the least number, which is 400,000. It's closer to the biggest, the largest, to the next number after, to the next 100,000. The 100,000s here are in 400,000, but the next one is +1 in 100,000, which is +1, 500,000. Oh, so it's closer to 500,000. Why? Because the number before the 4 is 5. Another number. So I'm going to erase this one. I'm going to pick up another number. All right. Let's take, for example, so this one we said it's 500,000. We did it before. Let's take this one, which is 125,000. I'm going to do it in red. Change the color. 125,000 and 317. Now I'm going to check. Where's the 100,000s? Oh, 100,000s are here. 100,000s are here. Okay, so we're dealing with 100,000 because it's number 1. It's obvious. So the number, the least. Forget about the rest of the numbers. This number is in between the 100,000. Okay, there is numbers after. I don't care about them. I'm just estimating. I'm going to say, oh, it's in between and between. But the next number will be either between 100,000 or the next number, which is 200,000. Always at +1. It's either one of them. Now we're going to check. Who is it closer to? To this one or to this one? What am I going to do? I'm going to check the number after. What is the number after? The number after the 100,000s, here I have 2. Oh, so it's 2. It's less than 5. What did we say? If you have a number, which is this one before, less than 5, it means 4, 3, 2, 1. Make it closer to the smallest number. It means it stays as it is. We're not going to add +1 to the 100,000 place value. We're going to leave it as it is. So it stays at 100,000. It's closer to this. And the answer is 100,000. The same thing goes to the nearest 10,000. Check the place value. Tick the place value or circle it, whatever. Do a circle on it, do a square on it, and then focus on the number before it. If the number before it is smaller, it means 4, 3, 2, 1, or even 0, then keep it as it is and put zeros. Write only that place value and the number before. Example. You wouldn't understand me if I don't put examples. I get you. So let's say the same number. I'm going to take this one. And I'm going to look for the place value of 10,000. Now, since we are not looking for the last number, which is 100,000, we're looking for the number before it. We're going to focus now on 5. Before, we were focusing on the 4 because they told us to look for the 100,000 place value. But now we're not going to look for the 100,000 place value. We're going to look here. It says a 10,000. So I'm going to look at this one. Okay, this is the change going to be here. So my number is going to stay now 4. But let's see. Maybe it will stay 5. Remember that this one I'm not going to touch it because we're not going to looking for that number. We're looking now for the smallest number, which is 10,000s. So I'm going to take this number, which is here, the 5. Either I stay with the 5 and put the rest zeros, or I put +1 to it. So maybe it will be 46,000 +1 to it. Remember, don't change the first number. We're not talking about it. We're talking about the second number now. We are in the 10,000s. It's either now it stays the same or +1 to it. Now, who's going to decide about if it stays 5 or a 6? It's the number before it, the same method. So I'm going to check the number before. What is it? Oh, it's smaller. It's 0. So it's going to stay smaller. Now I'm going to stick with this one. If it was here, this number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I would pass to the next number, which is this one. But in this case, no, we have 0. Get me? Normally, you keep going this way. The nearest hundreds, you're going to go to the place value of the hundreds. Keep the all numbers before. We're not focusing on them. Just go to the nearest 100. Now, maybe it will stay 7, or it stays... Let's do it here. The 100. The nearest 100 I'm talking. I'm not going to do the 1,000. The 100. The 100, we're going to focus on this one. So I'm going to erase this one. It's finished for me. I'm not even talking about it now. Let's say the hundreds. So I'm going to focus on the hundreds. Keep the numbers before the 100. We're not talking about them. We don't care about them. Now, either it stays the same number, or it passes to the next number, +1. So I'm going to write also the other numbers. They are not affected. So I'm going to add +1 to the number we have, the 100 place value. +1, 8. And put zeros. Get me? Sorry for that. This one, I shouldn't write it this way. I should have written zeros, because we are estimating. We are estimating. It's either in this number closer or this. Who's going to decide now if it's this one or this one? I'm going to check the number before, which is 2. Oh, 2 is small, so this is the answer. 2 is small. The same thing for 10, for whatever you do. Alright. Now, let's pass to the next one. The next one. Now we have rounding. I'm going to go back. This is the way that you revise your lessons. Now, keep it in mind that this is the first quarter. Now it's finished. You have adapted to the e-agenda, to the e-connect, to the grade book. So the second one is ordering, comparing. By the way, we have only barely one question for each. You know, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Barely one question each. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. I can't give you much more information about the exam. But keep in mind that if you just practice enough what I'm telling you now right in this video, you don't need to go further. You don't need any more, because you have basics. Believe me, you could take 100 directly. Just like you did in the quiz. Many of you took 10s. Not all of you, but thank God there's no less than 8 in the class. So, rounding, ordering. Let's still go to ordering. Ordering, how do you order? Just keep in mind, what is the biggest number? What is the smallest number? And then how do we compare? Okay, I know that if I'm going to compare, okay, where's the numbers? Yeah, let's take this one, for example. All right, let's take this one. Now I'm going to check my numbers. How do I compare? Of course, sometimes I'm going to give you different numbers. That's not the same as it's going to be in the exam, but almost. This is the idea. How do you think about it? Okay, how do we compare? Now I'm going to check. First, I'm going to check the sign. Now I have 30, I have 10, I have minus 25 degrees. By the way, you can say just negative 25 degrees. Negative 5 degrees, 24 degrees Celsius. Now, which one is smaller? Of course, I'm not going to take the positive ones, because the negative numbers are smaller. But which one is smaller? The biggest in number in negative, because it's negative, it's backward, it's not anymore positive. In the positive, yes, the biggest number is the biggest. The biggest in number is the biggest positively, in the positive way. But in the negative way, they don't work the same. They are like a mirror. They are backward. So the much bigger in number, and it's negative, is the smallest. Example, negative 20 is smaller than negative 2. Negative 18 is smaller than 0. Negative 7 is smaller than negative 5. So the biggest in number is smaller. So the less numbered in negative is the biggest. So 0, of course, it's big to negative 18. Negative 2 is closer to 0, which is bigger than negative 20. That's why when the negative number, the biggest is the negative, because you don't look at the signs, guys. Pay attention to the signs, you will understand everything. If somebody is telling you, it doesn't matter which one is the biggest or the largest, whatever number I give you. Example, let's say I'm going to give you a number, but this is a good exercise if you want to practice. You can compare between numbers. Let me give you a hint. So what you do. Now, when you try to revise this lesson, okay, where is it? Now, if you want to compare, where is it? Oh, it wasn't here, actually. Yeah, it was in the practice book. Where's my practice book? It's this one. Now, when you revise, you don't need to go any further. Just follow what I'm doing. Don't make it complicated on yourself. So, where is it? Factors, multiplication, addition. No. Where is it? All right. Yes, we are so close. This one. Now this one. See this? Just come here. Pick up any number. Let's say I'm going to make a number out of it. Here they gave me some numbers, whatever they give me. Let's take a number for 5 digits, whatever. Let's say I'm going to have negative. Oh, it's still smaller. Why is it? Let's say negative 43,269, and then you will have some dots and the next number. Remember, this is negative, and then I'm gonna have here a number, whatever. Let's say negative 6,792. Now, many of you do not count. Here, first of all, you notice that they are negative. We're comparing between two negative numbers. And what did we say? The biggest in number is smaller. The biggest in number is smaller. So when I read like this, from left to right. So the sign, I have two signs. If I have a sign which is opposing my way of writing, it means it's small. If I have the sign which is on the way of me writing, the sense of writing, it is bigger. When we do this, it means this one is bigger than this one. But when we do this sign opposite, it means it's smaller. So, what do you think? Do you think that this one is bigger or this one is bigger? Yes, this one is bigger in number, but it's negative, so it's smaller than the other one. The other one has just 4 digits. Yes, it's smaller in number, but it's negative, so it's bigger. Because it's negative, inverse. Inverse is the backward of what you know about numbers, because it's negative, it's not positive. So what we did here is wrong. This number is smaller because 43,269 is a number bigger than 6,792, but it's negative. So I'm going to put smaller. This one is smaller than this. Smaller. Okay? Okay. What if it was positive? Let's take, for example, positive. I think it's much easier for you guys. Positive. If you say 5,692, and then maybe some little bit trick, maybe say 6,592, then whatever you do, it's obvious who's bigger here. Both of them are positive, and it's obvious that the biggest is 6,000. So I'm going to say this one is smaller again, because this one is small. This is 6,000. Anyway, this page here, just choose any numbers and then make them big or small. You will be given numbers and then check if they are small or big. The same thing here. What do you think? Here, if you check the smallest number, what is it? We have negative. I'm just going to look at the negative. If I want to look at the positive, the biggest, I'm going to look only for positive. The biggest here is obvious, it's 27. But the smallest here is the biggest in negative, the biggest in negative. So negative 10. Negative 10 is smaller. and then 27 is the biggest, or larger. We say larger. 27. Let's go to the next lesson. Now we have a number sequence. A number sequence, we said before, if I give you any two numbers, let's take any two numbers in the number sequence. Remember the Fibonacci sequence? Any Fibonacci sequence. What does it say, the Fibonacci sequence? The Fibonacci sequence, if you go back to our lesson. Now, of course, here there's many rules for the sequence number. But the main one that we did, it's based on the rule given. Okay, what's the Fibonacci rule? If you go back to our lesson here. Here we did these two tables, if you remember. But here we set the rule. Remember? Now we set the rule, and we said we're going to start with a number and then do the +2, the +10, the +100, the +1000. Here we set the rule. Here I told you what to do, what not to do. So if you take any number in here, for example, let's go back to our. If you check here this lesson, ignore all of this that you've seen, because this is, we get used to it, which is easy here. Just add +10 to the number that you choose, then you add to it +100, then you add to it +1000. This rule, I was saying the rule for you. I said, okay, take it, add +10 to any number, add +100 to any number, and keep going till 5 numbers or whatever. Here, in this sequence that we talked about, this number, particular one, which is a special number sequence, this sequence, why do we have this sequence? This sequence, we can find it everywhere in the planet, in the trees, in the rivers, in the galaxy, if you see here, you can find it in you can see it in the roots of the plants, which is the same as the roots of the tree on top. It's the same thing. You can find it in flowers. You can find it in clouds. This pattern in life, many scholars has found this pattern, what I told you. If we take the Fibonacci sequence without setting any rule, however, I can change it. I can set the rule again. But originally, this is the Fibonacci sequence. When you begin with 1, if you check here, it's written already. When you have here 1, and then I'm going to have, why is it also still not thick that much? Here 1, and then the sequence begins. 1, 2. And then I'm going to add this to this. This is the sequence. And then I'm going to have 3. Then again the sequence, this 2 plus this 3 found. Then 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 plus 8. 5 plus 8, 13. Now 8 plus 13. 8 plus 13. 8 plus 13 is 21. We're going to add 8 to 3. Add to 3 is going to give you 11. 11 and 1 and a 10 is going to give you 21. 21. And then 21 plus 13. And you keep going. You get it? So 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. 34. And I can keep going. Okay, guys? And then you keep going. So this one, just to explain to you the lesson. Now, let's talk about the real deal here when I give you my sequence. Let's say, for example, this one. Here, he said you can say, let's say I have 4 and I have 7. It's finished from me. I can do it. I don't need anything else. I don't need even the second 2 numbers he gave me. Just these 2 numbers is enough for me. So I'm going to add 4 plus 7. How many? 4 plus 7 is going to give you 11. Then I'm going to add 7 and 11. It's going to give me 18. Then directly 11 plus 18. You get me? So the number before plus the number after gives you the number after. So I found now 18. I'm going to come back to the first one, the previous one. 11 plus 18. It's going to give me 29. You don't need to count 11 plus 18. Just check this one. Look. Check. Here you have 1 plus 1. It gives you 2. And then you have 1 plus 8. It gives you 9. Sometimes you don't need. Sometimes it's so easy. It's obvious. So I'm going to keep going. 18 plus 29. So, okay, he's telling me 18 plus 29. 29 looks like 30. And then I put 30, and then in my mind, in the end, I will take minus 1. I will take 1 from it because I put 30. I estimated as 30. But I'm going to take that one because I have 29. I don't have 30. So I'm going to say 30. 30 plus 18, how many? It's 48. 48 minus that one is 47. See how do you work to find the right calculation so fast? 47. 47. Now I'm going to add 29 plus 47. Let's say my 29 is already also 30 and then plus 47. I know that 30 plus 40, it gives me 70. So I'm going to put 77, but I will take that minus 1. So it's 76. And you keep going. Of course, I'm not going to give you too much numbers. It will stop maybe in fifth number or sixth number, whatever. And one of them until you pass, I don't know, 60, maybe 70, maybe 100, until you pass. We did it before. Also, we did it in the quiz. If you want to practice more for this one, you can come back to our lesson, to the practice book. We have solved it in the practice book. Where's the number sequence? This one. I don't recommend too much this one because this one's going to make you confused, to be honest. They have many rules in here which you can practice, but they are different rules for you, to be honest. Here you have a sequence of multiplication. He's going to say start with a number, but you're going to multiply 2 each time. See? Now he's explaining to you, he's making an introduction to show you what is multiples of a number or doubles of the number. He's setting a rule. It's the same thing when you say, oh, it's multiples of a number or factors of a number. This is a set of rules. All of them are rules. So I don't really recommend you to come here and check this one. If it's for you, for just revision. But this one is much more than enough for you guys. Just these two. Or you can make up one by yourself even. You can invent one. You can begin with giving 2 numbers from your mind, and then you add them, you keep adding them and until you have. Okay? So let's pass to another one, to the second one. We have odd and even numbers. We have talked about what is odd number, what is an even number. Now, without too much explaining here, even numbers can be divided exactly by 2. Odd numbers cannot. Any number which can be divided by 2 is an even number. It's obvious. Any number, for example, 4 is an even number, 8 is an even number, 6 is an even number, 9 is not. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, which is not a whole number, it's decimal. So we need even numbers that can be divided exactly by 2. No remainders. Remember, decimals gives remainders, means remainder. So an odd number is a number which cannot be divided by 2, like 1. 1 is an odd number. 1 cannot be divided exactly by 2. It can be divided, but it's not exactly. If you divide 1 by 2, it gives you half. Half is not a whole number. So it is odd because it has remainder. So 2 divided by 2 is exactly 1. So 2 is an even number. 3 cannot be divided. 3, if you divide it by 2, it gives you 1.5. So 3 is an odd number. 4 is not an odd number. 5 it is. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So because 5, if you divide it by 2, it doesn't give you one whole number. And you keep going. These are the even numbers and the whole numbers. That's it. So simple. Take the number. If it can be divided by 2, then yeah, it is an even number. If it cannot be divided by 2, it is an odd number. Remember, guys, for these cases, you need a lot to memorize: multiplication and division. If you know the tables of multiplication, the backward of that multiplication is division. So indirectly, when you are learning how to multiply numbers, for example, table of 2, table of 3, 4, 5, 6, memorize it till 9. 10, nobody memorized 10. 10, you just add 0 to any number. So till 9, it will be easy for you. Alright, odd and an even number. Just to know what is odd numbers, what is even numbers by definition. That's it. Do not make it complicated here. Till this page, it can also answer your questions. What do you think happens when you multiply a single digit number by 4? Of course, you're dividing by an even number. Now you're gonna check. Here you are multiplying. So you're gonna see. Just do 1 by yourself. We did it. So do 1 times 4. It gives you what do you think happens when you multiply a single digit number? Yeah, 1 times 4, it gives you 4. So if you knew the table of 4, you would answer directly. 2 times 4, oh, it gives me 8. 3 times 4, it gives me 12. 4 times 4, oh, that's 16. So I'm going to check numbers 4, 8, 12. Oh, all of them are even numbers because all of them can be divided by 2. Okay, so the answer is even. By the way, it's much more simple than this. Just identify the number. Is it an odd number? Is it an even number? The Roman numerals, we said we are not eliminated. We didn't do it. So adding and subtracting near multiples. Now, how do you add and how you subtract near multiples?